Yo, today I'll teach you a method to get more jacked in less time. This technique is called cluster sets. You may or may not have heard of it. For some reason, this method is a lot more underground than something like a drop set or a superset. But it's just as effective. It's kind of in the same family. You get more out of less time. But they are much more fun than the other two methods. So, a cluster set is something similar to a rest pause. In a rest pause set, you rest a little bit after every rep. But in a cluster set, you rest a little bit more after more reps. There's not really a rule on how to do them. There are many ways you can do them. Here's my favorite way though. So you pick a weight on an exercise that you can do about 8 to 12 reps. But you're only gonna do 3 to 5 reps. And you know, that might seem like you're sandbagging your sets because you're very far away from failure, right? But you're not gonna end there. That's just the beginning of the set. You're gonna rest 10 to 15 more seconds and go again with 3 to 5 reps. Now it's gonna be a little bit harder. You rest again 10 to 15 seconds and again 3 to 5 reps. And you do that for about 5 to 8 minutes. If you can, at some point you're not gonna be able to do even one rep. But that's the beauty of it. You're gonna get so much work done in just 5 to 8 minutes, it's insane. And we talk about the pump and why it's not really important for bodybuilding. But we don't take into account the fact that it's very fun to have a pump. And with cluster sets, you'll have a huge pump. That's really the main reason why you'd want to do cluster sets, is that they're so fun. And you also get a ton of work done in a very short amount of time. And if you want to make it even more fun, you can pick a song or a few songs that you only play when you do cluster sets. And you know, if the song is 6 minutes, then when the song ends, that's when the cluster set also ends. And you can make it really fun that way. And like I said, you're gonna save a ton of time. And if you really want to save even more time, you can even do a cluster set superset combination. So for example, you're gonna do a cluster set on something like a bicep curl and a tricep pushdown. And when you rest on the pushdown, you do your bicep reps. The pump that you'll get from that will be incredible. I promise you, if you've never tried it, you should definitely try it out. Now, I need to put a disclaimer here. You're not gonna do cluster sets on compound movements. You should only do cluster sets on movements that are more cheating friendly, if you want to call it that. So basically movements where you're not gonna be punished if you cheat on them. Your form can deteriorate and you'd still get a good workout in without getting injured. Because cluster sets go hand in hand with things like partials and, you know, why not? So don't do this on something like a bench press, a deadlift, a squat. You'll just get injured that way. You should only do this on isolations and safer isolations. A really good one could be a leg extension, for example. Like I said before, a tricep pushdown, a bicep curl, a leg curl. And another interesting one would be calves. You could do cluster sets on calves, for example. And calves are quite boring to train, let's be honest. But cluster sets are very fun. So you can combine those two and that will make you not skip your calf training anymore. You'll actually be excited to train calves if you do cluster sets on them. And like I said, it's not a big time investment, so you're not gonna prioritize calves as much. So I'd say try out cluster set training. You might find out that you really like it, and you're probably gonna like it. However, for someone like a beginner, cluster sets are not all that important. You could still do them, but you don't really need to. As a beginner, you don't really need all that much volume at all, and that's what cluster sets do. They give you a ton of volume in a very short amount of time. So if you're a beginner, you should keep this in your back pocket and try it out when you become more advanced. And another thing about cluster sets is that they shouldn't replace your normal training. The bulk of your workout should be straight sets or supersets. Cluster sets are more of an addition that you add at the end of your workout. You shouldn't rely on them, and I wouldn't do more than one cluster set per session. And if you just started using them, you should just add one cluster set at the end of your session, on a day that makes sense. So a very nice one that you could try is at the end of your leg day, you could do a cluster set of leg extensions. And you'll see how you like it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions about cluster sets, and I'll see you soon.